First, I'd like you to introduce yourself, please.
My name is Colleen Lucy.
Okay, anything about yourself? Can you tell us?
I'm from Texas. I was born in Houston, and I went to school in Houston, and I went to college in New York City. I went to Columbia University, and I studied Russian literature. And then after I graduated college, I lived in New York for a while and worked at the university, and then I moved to Russia, and I lived in Moscow for a couple of years, and then I returned back to the United States because I got into graduate school, and now I'm in a PhD program. I just received my master's, and I'm working on my PhD right now.
Thank you very much. And as I've told, you remember your school years very well. Let's speak about school. Have you ever been to any Russian school?
I have been to Russian universities, but I have never been to a Russian grade school or Russian high school.
Maybe some words about your school where you studied. Sure. Just uniform rules, any punishment, please. I
think that this might be interesting for people to know because I went to Catholic school my whole life. I started in grade school and kindergarten at a Catholic school, and I went from one school from kindergarten to 8th grade. And it was a pretty small school, and we had to wear uniforms, and it was strict. We didn't have many nuns. Usually at Catholic schools, nuns teach. But for some reason, we had more priests than nuns. So we had classes from 8 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. And usually the classes, we had like 30 people in each class. And so I knew everybody in my class pretty much from kindergarten to 8th grade. We were all in the same group.
Any days off?
Oh yes, we had Saturday and Sunday off. Catholic education is a little bit different from, say, public school education because a component of the education is dedicated to religious life and practices and beliefs of the Catholic Church. And also we have a mandatory, we go to church at least once a week as a school or as a grade. We also took several field trips. Like every year we would take field trips, different places. And I could say it was a pretty strict school, but it wasn't, we were never hit or anything. Like the stereotype about Catholic schools is that the nuns and the priests would hit the kids. It's not true anymore. But I liked my education.
Yes, you like it. And what have you done after graduating from school?
So I finished grade school. We studied till the 8th grade. And then from the 9th to the 12th grade, I studied at a different Catholic high school only for girls. So it was called St. Agnes Academy, and it's a college preparatory, which means it was very rigorous. We had a lot of AP classes, which are called AP is short for Advanced Placement classes, where you take courses and then at the end of the course you have an exam, and this exam is statewide and also university and countrywide to get college credit.
And how many courses have you got, and how many subjects, I mean?
So in 9th grade, I think we had like 6 courses. And then we also, the same thing, we had religious courses that dealt with Catholicism. But it was interesting. It was an interesting place to go because it's only for girls, and it's really dedicated for women and to promote professionalism among women. And we also had a brother school right across the parking lot that was an all-boys Catholic school. So we would have dances together, and we would have some classes together, and we would have lunch together. But all of our academic work was done separately, with the idea that girls do better when they're among themselves and when they're like pushed more to be leaders.
And any punishment, any problem with discipline? Maybe
yes.
not.
Yeah,
you had?
Yeah. The Catholic high school was stricter than the grade school, probably because the problems were bigger. But the high school, very strict uniforms. So we have, if we're wearing a skirt, it has to be down to our knees. You cannot dye your hair different colors.
No makeup, of course.
You can have makeup.
You can have makeup.
You could wear makeup. You could wear makeup and you could wear jewelry. At other Catholic schools, they're more strict. You maybe couldn't wear jewelry, or like you could wear like pieces, but you can't be extravagant with what you're wearing. If you, this is funny. You're not allowed to untuck your shirt. You can pull your shirt out of your pants or your skirt. What else? We couldn't wear an undershirt. You had to have only your. We had like a button-down shirt and like a vest and a blazer.
Oh, a blazer, just with a badge for your school?
We didn't have. Well, was there a badge? No, I don't think that there was a badge.
No
but,
badge.
Yeah.
Okay, and what have you heard about our schools? Any differences? Maybe you have read. You have watched TV if you have never been.
I only know that I actually don't. I'm ashamed to say I don't really know how Russian like middle schools and Russian courses are really run. I'm more familiar with universities, but I know that you enter college sooner than we do. And I would say like what we usually think of is that they're very good schools and very academically rigorous. That's like the traditional stereotype about Russian schools.
Okay. And how can you explain that in our schools? Just pupils in high schools just learn a lot of subjects, 14, 16. And in your schools only 6, sometimes 4. And how it's possible? Are you sure at the age of 16 or 17 or you finish school at 18? What profession you will choose? You're so sure? Really?
No, well, American schools, at least public schools and private schools, they do have usually 6 courses per semester, but those 6 courses might change the next semester. So you could have like 2 different. You might end up taking 12 in a year, right? So you have 6 in the fall, 6 in the spring. I think it's really important. Part of the American, for good or for bad, part of the American academic experience is when you enter into college, you are not sure exactly what you will be, what work you will, what profession you will have after graduation. It takes you like a year and a half or 2 years to figure out because you want to get a feel of everything. You're trying to like also find yourself as a human being. So I think it's probably a positive thing, but
that is. And how did teachers connect with your parents? Any just notes in your diary?
Oh no, that's
any bad marks in your diaries like we do? Any writing now? Email we write. We have just e-diary or e-register, and we write notes. We put marks there. We write notes to parents. We invite them using a mobile phone to school, and sometimes we put bad marks too.
Yeah, really.
And in your school?
Okay, so I mean, I guess I'm a little bit older now, so I don't know what they do right now with like this technology
right now,
is so big, but when I was a student, definitely, like my parents were really involved in the school and in my education. So they would have parent-teacher conferences, is what they're called, where the teacher meets with the parents. Usually this happens, I think 3 times a year. The parents would come in and meet with, I guess my main teacher, and we would talk about my progress and what I needed to work on. They also we have report cards, where you would get a report card every semester with your marks in it, like with your grades, like A+, A minus, B+, B minus, all the way down to F. So we also had like things where I really like this, where parents came into class. Like my mom and my dad both came into my class when in grade school to like read a story to the class, or
yes, really.
or like to like talk about we had this one project where my mom like wrote something about me, and then like my teacher read it and stuff for the class. It was nice.
And any concerts were organized with the help of your parents?
No, course.
Any volunteer work? No.
No.
It wasn't just only
like little snip pieces.
little bit, but they were involved.
Yeah.
Do you think it's really important to work together, teachers, children, and parents? What do you think about this triangle?
Oh my gosh, I think it's really complex. I think it's like a really hard question. Because I know a lot of my friends are teachers for high school and for grade school. And yes, of course, parents have got to take a part in their children's education. It is so important. They need to be there. They need to know what their students are studying. They need to help them with their homework. They also need to be in contact with the school, because it's really important that that parents know what's happening at the school. That they care the quality of education. But I also feel like teachers have to deal with so much right now. Like, they're also, not only are they educating kids, they're also responsible for like them becoming human beings, and also like basically raising them, because parents work so much in America. So I think it's like, yes, of course, but you have to also kind of limit. If you have parents, a lot of time parents can be very aggressive.
Okay. And I would like to know what do you think about the difference between professional teacher, good teacher, and modern teacher? Just it should be in one, 3 in 1, or just it's quite different? What is a modern teacher, good teacher, professional teacher for you?
Okay. Oh, okay. That's a really good question. I would say probably a good teacher is both professional. Okay, a good teacher has to be professional. Like, that is like without a doubt. A professional teacher might not necessarily be a good teacher, though.
Yes, right.
Could be very professional, but doesn't mean that they're actually good at what they do. A modern teacher, I think, a modern teacher you can use a lot of technology in your classroom, but it doesn't necessarily always mean that technology helps what you're doing. It doesn't always do that. Sometimes it can hinder what's being taught. But I think a modern teacher is one that is connected with problems of the modern world. You know what I mean? Like, they know their students, and they kind of feel like, because modern can also be not just modern technology, but modern in the sense of like contemporary. So ideally, you are all 3 of those.
What do you think about generation gap? What is better when the teacher is young, and the difference between students and just teachers is not so great, or just old teachers and the generation gap is too great and they can't understand each other? Or it doesn't matter, the age?
I don't know, because some of my best teachers were like in their 70s when I had them, and this was when I was in grade school. And other teachers that I've had that made a huge impact on my life and my educational and my curiosity as a student were, a couple years older than me. I mean, they were like just fresh out of college. I think the age doesn't. It can play an important role, but I don't think it dictates whether or not a student can like find a connection with a teacher. I think what's important is, like, again, the connection that must be there between student and teacher.
What do you think about yourself?
About me?
Yes, good teacher, professional teacher, or modern teacher? You yourself.
Oh my God. I hope I'm a good teacher, but I'm also a young teacher. I mean, young and not just like an age-wise, but I mean, I've taught now for 3 years. So I've taught Russian and I've taught literature. So I would say, like, my goal would be to be professional, modern, and good in one, the 3 in 1, like you said.
Yes.
Right now, I am just trying to be as good as I can be.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And just the difference between students. Can you feel it? Our Russian students and your students, please.
Okay, so, well, again, people are different, and people studying in different fields, I think, are different. Russian students, I think, well, it's also the situation is changing. For one, I think this world right now is like in a very important. It's a moment of change where.
Yes, right.
I think Russian students have. I don't know. I mean, it seems just from what I've seen right now, they have like a certain depth about them. Like they're deeper sometimes than our students are, I think. And I'm not sure why that is. I don't know. I mean, deeper in the sense like they worry about like a lot of really contemporary, like really hot topics. American college students, I think, and I don't know if this is true or not in Russia, but American college students a lot of the times feel, especially if it's a private college, there's a whole different conversation between private colleges and public, but if you're paying a lot of money for your education, you have a lot of incentive to get as much out of it as you can. So sometimes that can be a wonderful thing. It can mean that students in America are very motivated, but also it can mean actually quite negatively that if they pay something, they want the product. They want the A, they want the good grade. So
in our country, I can say so. Sometimes you pay a lot of money, and it doesn't mean that you have really great and qualified education.
That's hard.
Yes,
that's unfortunate.
Lynn, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It was very pleasant.
Thank you for these wonderful questions. I hope your students do very well.
Yes,
I'm sure they will.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Very interesting questions.
Thanks.
Very interesting. I'm sure Jessie had a lot to say too.
Maybe